techniques that I'm going to show you today can be used for generalized low back pain, but we're going to be looking more specifically at SI joint pain. Now, your sacroiliac or SI joint is where your sacrum, the diamond-shaped bone at the base of your spine, and your ilium, your big pelvic bones here, articulate. So pain is often localized through that SI joint. It can cause some radiation or nerve pain. Now, our SI joint can be prone to instability, whether it's tight muscles pulling on the joint or just a laxity through the muscles that are kind of weak. All of that can affect the functioning of the SI joint. So we'll be using some myofascial techniques with a foam roller, with the tennis balls, followed up with some stretches and also strengthening and stabilizing for the muscles of your pelvis and of your spine. We're going to get started off using the foam roller. Now mine is a little textured here, it gets a little bit deeper, a little more intense, but any foam roller works here. And just starting off with really generalized work through the spine, just warming up all the spinal muscles. So interlacing your fingers behind your head, just taking a slow roll up and down your spine. Now the more you stay rounded up in that upper body crunch, the less pressure you're going to get. The more you extend through your spine, still keeping some tension through your abdominal muscles, the more pressure you're going to feel. Also, the heavier you can make yourself into that foam roller, allowing yourself to just release into the weight of gravity, the more pressure you're going to get, and the more your muscles will kind of allow you to sink in. Good. So just taking a couple rolls up and down your spine again. This isn't very focused or specific work, just kind of opening up through the general area. You can always spend more time here if you find areas that need work. And then pausing once you get to that low back region. Through here, drop your hands down towards the floor for more support, and you're just going to start to rock your hips side to side. Now our QL or quadratus lumborum muscle is a real deep low back muscle. You kind of have to go in from the side to access it. So by rolling side to side, you're trying to think about hooking inside the muscle. So getting past the more superficial or the top layer, those spinal muscles, and kind of going underneath from the side to the QL a little bit deeper. But if this feels like it's not that direct pressure, then you might draw your hands behind your head, release yourself all the way towards the floor, and do that same thing. With a little more arch to the spine, there's a little more depth and pressure you can sink into that QL. Now because my foam roller is short, it's easy to get to the edges of the foam roller, and this is really the area that's going to sink into the QL. So you might have to stay just focused on one side at the edge of your foam roller if it's a little bit longer. Good, and then pausing through center, plant your feet down, lift your hips up into a little bridge, and then slide the foam roller underneath your sacrum. Good, from here, draw your legs up to hip height. And so knees stack over the hips. Gentle activation through your lower abdominals, hip bones drawing in towards each other. Palms can just relax on the floor. And from here, just take a little rocking side to side. Again, nice and slow, allowing your weight to relax into the floor, your hips into the foam roller. Good, and you should be aiming for that SI joint area, so below the iliac crest, that two bony ridges at the top of your pelvis, you want to be below that. Good. Then rolling over just to one side, start to make tiny little circles here. Just warming up, giving some compression, shearing through that SI joint. And then over to the other side. And you can spend a lot more time through these areas. Just kind of checking in with the body, noticing when intensity starts to lessen, can be a good signal to move on. Good. And drawing your hips back through center, release your feet down towards the mat. Now draw your right knee in towards your chest. And then slowly start to extend your left leg out. Now, if your hips lifted like this causes too much compression for your low back, you can do the same stretch on the floor or with less height with like a rolled up towel, something similar. And again, just trying to create some heaviness into the floor, starting to open up through that left hip flexor. And for a moment, see if you can isolate squeezing through the left glute. If both fire, that's fine, but we're just trying to isolate the activation through your glute. We're just giving it a little bit of a squeeze. And then as you exhale, relax. See if you can make your left leg closer towards the floor. So trying to bridge that gap. There's still going to be some space between your left leg and your floor. You're just trying to see if you can relax it a little bit further down. And again, staying there as long as you'd like, perhaps a minute or so or longer, then switching sides. And noticing any differences between sides. We might think that the tightness is on the side where we're having the pain, but a lot of times it can be the opposite side. And there's also compensation patterns. When there's pain in one area, the other side can compensate by tightening up. So this whole time, just being aware of what you find in your body and letting go of any expectations. Good. Give that right glute a little squeeze. Good. Turning off the firing in the front hip flexor by activating the opposite muscle. And exhale, release that. Good. And slowly release. You can bend that right knee, release the left foot down, press down through your feet, lift the hips up, then slide the foam roller away.